Y'all, hold on. Hold on. Stop scrolling. Put the phone down. No, pick it back up. Pick it back up because what I'm about to tell you is going to make you question whether anything you've ever seen on the internet is real. Because right now, at this exact moment in celebrity culture, 4 stories dropped in the span of 7 days. And on the surface, they look like 4 random pieces of gossip. But baby, when you line them up next to each other, when you really sit with them, when you stop laughing for 10 seconds and actually look, you will see something terrifying. You will see a pattern. You will see that the internet has officially murdered sincerity in black celebrity culture. And nobody is talking about it. Nobody. So pull up a chair. Get your tea. Get your wine. Get your edible. Whatever you need to get through this, get it now. Because we are not doing a regular gossip recap today. We are doing an autopsy. We are connecting the dots between Lana hanging out with 21 Savage's baby mamas like they joined a sorority. Young Miami claiming she got a $2.3 million wire transfer for a single date. Amanda Seales dragging Maya Angelou's name through the mud to defend a woman who lied about being a doctor. And Ray J, Lord, Ray J. The man who told us he was dying in 2027, who got his mama on camera crying about it, who had us praying over our phones, and then 3 months later climbed into a boxing ring looking like your drunk uncle at a cookout and got knocked into next week. 4 stories. 1 disease. And the disease has a name. We are going to diagnose it together. Let's go. Now listen, before I get into the meat of this, I need you to do me a favor. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button because what we do on this channel is different. We do not just read off a TMZ headline and call it a day. We dig. We connect. We see the bigger picture. And if you're already part of the family, do me one solid and drop a comment with the word diagnosed somewhere in there so I know you're paying attention. Because at the end of this video, I'm asking you a question. And your answer is going to tell you everything you need to know about where the culture is heading. Okay. Let's get into it. Story number 1. Lana. And the baby mama sorority. So if you've been living under a rock or you've been getting your news from CNN, here's the rundown. Lana, who recently welcomed a baby with rapper 21 Savage, was spotted out and about hanging with all of 21 Savage's other baby mamas. Not 1. Not 2. All of them. Like they organized a brunch. Like they have a group chat called Savage Mode Moms. Like they pledged a sorority and Lana just got her line jacket. And in the clip that's circulating, somebody walks up and starts counting heads and says, "Where the rest of the kids at? We're missing 1. And one of the mamas says, "We missing 1 baby. 1 baby missing." Like it's a roll call at recess. Now, I want to be very clear about something. I do not have a problem with co-parenting. I do not have a problem with blended families. I do not have a problem with women setting aside their differences for the sake of their children. That part of the story is actually beautiful. If these women genuinely get along, if they genuinely support each other, if they genuinely take turns babysitting so each one of them can have a Saturday off, that is gorgeous. That is the village. That is what we're supposed to be doing. But baby, that is not what's happening here. What's happening here is performance. What's happening here is a photo op. What's happening here is a content drop disguised as sisterhood. Because real co-parenting does not need a camera. Real co-parenting does not need a caption. Real co-parenting does not need a roll call where you count babies like they're SKUs on an inventory sheet. Real co-parenting happens in a Honda Odyssey at 6:47 in the morning when somebody is late for school and somebody else is calling out of work. That is co-parenting. The thing we saw on Instagram was a brand activation. And once you see it through that lens, you cannot unsee it. Because every laugh, every glance, every "we missing 1 baby" was performed for an audience. And that is the first symptom of the disease we are diagnosing tonight. Sincerity has been replaced by spectacle. Every real moment in these celebrities' lives is now content first, and life second. And when content comes first, truth comes last. Now I want to give y'all one more lens on the Lana situation, because I do not think one diagnosis is enough for this particular case. Because there is another reading. There is another way to look at it. And the other way is even more cynical than what I just told you. Here it goes. What if the entire baby mama brunch was not an organic moment that got filmed? What if it was a coordinated rebrand? Because think about it. 21 Savage has had baby mama drama for years. The narrative around him, in certain corners of the internet, has been, he has too many kids by too many women. That narrative is hard to escape once it sticks. So how do you flip it? How do you flip, he has too many baby mamas, into, he has a thriving extended family of mutually supportive co-parents who all get along beautifully? You do exactly what we saw. You stage a brunch. You let cameras roll. You let one of the mamas count heads and say, we missing one baby. And in 20 seconds, you have rewritten years of negative narrative. That is not a video. That is a press release. That is image rehabilitation disguised as casual content. And I am not even mad at the strategy. The strategy is, frankly, brilliant. The problem is that the audience cannot tell the difference anymore between an authentic moment and a strategic one. We are all watching content that has been engineered to a microscopic degree, and we are reacting to it as if it were home video. And the celebrities know it. And the publicists know it. And the algorithm definitely knows it. The only people who do not know it are us. We are the marks. We are the audience. We are the people whose attention is being monetized one staged smile at a time. So when I tell you to ask, is this a moment or is this a marketing campaign, that is not a metaphor. That is a literal, useful, daily question. Use it. Apply it. Make it muscle memory. Hold that thought. Because now we have to talk about Young Miami. And the $2.3 million. So Young Miami sat down for an interview recently. The interview was, on paper, a fun little sit down. The host was lobbing softballs. Everything was light. Everything was breezy. And then the host asked the question that I guess was supposed to be the headline grabber. She asked, what is the most amount of money you have ever received from a man after going on a single date with him? And without flinching, without blinking, without taking a single sip of water to buy herself time, Young Miami looked dead in the camera and said, $2.3 million. $2.3 million. For a date. Singular. One date. One sit down. One meal. One conversation. And a man cash apped her $2.3 million. Now let me tell you what my face did when I heard that. My face folded. My face crumpled. My face went through 5 stages of grief in real time. Because, listen, I have been on dates. I have been on great dates. I have been on dates where the man paid for everything. I have been on dates where the man slid me a Lyft code so I could get home safe. I have even been on one date, exactly one, where a man sent me $100 on Cash App the next morning and called it breakfast money. And I thought I was Beyoncé. $100. And I floated. I floated for a week. So somebody is going to need to take me by the hand and explain how we got from $100 breakfast Cash App to $2.3 million in a wire transfer. Because that is not a date. That is a hostage negotiation. That is a settlement. That is, if I'm being totally honest, the exact dollar amount a man would pay if he needed somebody to not testify against him in federal court. And I'm just saying. I am just saying. The only scenario in which I personally believe a man transferred a woman $2.3 million after a date is if that date was him sliding a manila envelope across a table at a steakhouse in Tribeca and saying, baby, all you have to do is forget you ever saw me at that party in 2018. That's it. That is the only math that maths. Because no regular dinner with no regular man ends in a 7-figure wire transfer. That is not how dating works. That is how silence works. That is how cleanup works. And whether or not Young Miami is telling the truth, what is fascinating to me, what is actually the symptom I want you to lock into, is that she felt comfortable saying it. She felt comfortable looking at a camera and dropping a number that defies all logic, all economics, all common sense. Because she knows something we don't want to admit. She knows that the louder and crazier the claim, the bigger the clip, the bigger the clip, the bigger the bag. Truth does not pay anymore. Outrageous pays. Cap pays. And so she said the number she knew would clip. And it did. And here we are talking about it. That is symptom number 2. Outrageous claims have replaced honest answers. Because honest answers don't trend. And if it doesn't trend, in the eyes of these celebrities, it didn't happen. And one more thing on the young Miami situation, because I do not want to leave this in the air. The way she said it. The way she delivered the number. I went back. I rewatched the clip 3 times. Because I wanted to know if she was lying, or if she was joking, or if she actually believed it. And what struck me was the casualness. There was no drumroll. There was no build-up. There was no, "You are not going to believe what I'm about to say." It was just, 2.3 million. Like she was reading her grocery list. Like she was telling the host what time her flight landed. And that casualness, I think, is the tell. Because when something is genuinely shocking, even the person telling the story sounds shocked. When something is genuinely impressive, the storyteller cannot help but lean in. But when something is rehearsed, when something has been said in a green room, in an Uber, in a group chat, in a mirror, 14 times before the camera rolled, the storyteller delivers it flat. Polished. Almost bored. And that is what I heard. I heard a woman who had practiced saying, 2.3 million, so many times that the number itself had stopped meaning anything to her. It was just a sound. A shape. A clip in the making. And maybe that is the part that bothers me most. Because somewhere in this country, there is a real woman, not young Miami, just a regular woman, working a real job, who heard that clip on her lunch break and went back to her desk feeling like a failure. Because she has never been on a date that ended in a wire transfer. She has never been on a date that ended in a Cash App. She has been on dates that ended in her splitting an appetizer. And the gap between her real life and the fantasy that young Miami casually broadcast just got a little wider. And every time that gap widens, we lose something. We lose a sense of what normal looks like. We lose a sense of what success looks like. We lose a sense of what dating is even supposed to feel like. So I do not just think the claim is cap. I think the claim is harmful. There is a difference. And the harm is the part that does not trend. Now let's go to story number 3. Amanda Seales. And the moment she lost the entire plot. Okay. So in case you missed it, there is a woman named Cheyenne Bryant who has been catching all kinds of heat lately because the streets caught her in a lie. The lie. She had been parading around for years calling herself a doctor. Dr. Cheyenne. Dr. Bryant. Showing up on podcasts. Showing up on panels. Showing up on every life coaching circuit you can imagine with that title attached to her name. And then somebody finally did the most basic Google search of all time and found out that, actually, the school she attended to get her doctorate lost its accreditation. Which means whatever she paid for did not result in a real, recognized, defensible doctorate degree. And on top of that, a woman who claims to have gone to school with her came forward and said, "Baby, even when we were still in class, before any of us had graduated anything, Cheyenne was already running around calling herself doctor. And our instructor had to pull her aside and tell her that she could not do that until she finished her dissertation." So this is not a small slip. This is not a misunderstanding. This is years of branding built on a credential the woman knew she did not properly have. So what does Amanda Seales do? Amanda Seales, who I usually defend, who I usually root for, who I have stood in the gap for more than once, Amanda Seales jumps on the internet, sees that the public is dragging Cheyenne, and decides this is the hill. This is the moment. This is when she is going to enter the chat. And not only does she enter the chat, she enters the chat swinging. She says, and I quote, "How are you all so obsessed with Cheyenne Bryant lying about being a doctor when Maya Angelou used to walk around calling herself Dr. Angelou?" And the entire internet stopped. Because, baby. 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 No. 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 We are not doing this. We are not bringing the Queen Mother into this. Not today. Not ever. Maya Angelou had 50, count them, 50 honorary doctorates from accredited universities. 50. Her body of literary work has been studied at the doctoral level at universities around the world. The woman did not invent a credential. The woman was given a credential, repeatedly, in formal ceremonies, on stages, by institutions, in caps and gowns. That is not the same thing as paying a tuition bill at a school that later lost its accreditation and then walking around insisting people address you as doctor before you have even completed coursework. Those are not the same. Those are not in the same universe. Those are not even on the same celestial plane. And then Amanda, sensing that the internet was not buying it, doubled down. She made a follow-up post. She started cussing people out. She wrote, and again I quote loosely because I am not going to put profanity directly in your ears, she said something to the effect of, "I'm so done with y'all. I'm done with this internet. I'm done with sharing my thoughts." And then proceeded to share more thoughts. Then she said, "Y'all want me to throw people away, but you don't think it's okay when people throw away folks like Cori Bush. Now hold on. Hold on. Hold all the way on. We are not talking about Cori Bush. We are talking about a woman who lied about a credential. Cori Bush is a formerly sitting member of Congress whose dismissal involved an entire AIPAC-funded primary challenge. Those are not the same." Then Amanda said, "How can you compare a vice president who supports a genocide to a life coach? Man. Nobody compared them. You compared them. You introduced both of them into this conversation by yourself. We were over here talking about a doctorate." And the reason this is symptom number 3 is because Amanda Seales could not just say, "Yeah, the woman lied, that's not great, but I had a positive experience with her on my podcast." That sentence would have been 22 words long. That sentence would have ended the conversation. That sentence would have allowed her to keep her dignity, keep her platform, and keep her credibility. But she could not say it. She could not say the small, true, calm thing. Because the algorithm does not reward calm. The algorithm rewards escalation. So she escalated. And then she escalated the escalation. And then she escalated the escalation of the escalation. Until she had built herself a pyramid of unforced errors so tall that she could no longer see the original conversation from the top of it. That is symptom number 3. The inability to admit a small truth has been replaced by the compulsion to defend a large lie. And the louder the lie has to be defended, the more collateral damage it causes. In this case, the collateral damage was Maya Angelou's name. And we do not play about Maya. We do not. So let the Queen Mother rest. Take her name out of your mouth. Apologize on bended knee. And go to your room. Now. 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 We have arrived. We have arrived at the main course. The piece de resistance. The reason I could not sleep last night. The reason I woke up at 5:47 in the morning and started typing this script with shaky hands. We have arrived at Ray J. Okay. I need you to follow me very carefully here, because the timeline matters. The timeline is everything. A few months ago, Ray J went on the internet. He sat in front of a camera. And he told us, in a very serious, very somber voice, that he had been to the doctor. And the doctor had given him some terrifying news. The doctor had told him that his heart was not functioning at full capacity. And that, given the current state of his heart, he was likely not going to be with us by the year 2027. He said this. On video. With his face. Then, to drive the point home, his own mother got in front of a camera. His mother. His actual mama. And she co-signed the story. She said, with tears in her eyes, "Yes, y'all, it is dire. We are praying. We are scared. Please keep him in your thoughts." People prayed. People cried. People who do not even like Ray J that much sent thoughts and good energy his way because regardless of how you feel about a man's discography, you do not want him to die. People got emotional. People got invested. People got involved. 3 months later. 3 months later. That same Ray J. Who told us his heart was failing. Who let his mother go on camera and weep about his impending death. That Ray J climbed into a boxing ring. To fight a man named Super Hot Fire. For a paid celebrity boxing event. With cameras. With lights. With pay-per-view. With Chris Brown sitting ringside as his hype man. With announcers. With a crowd. And before the fight, Chris Brown himself, his own friend, looked into the camera and said, and I am not making this up, Ray, please, my brother, do not die. Chris Brown said that. Out loud. Because even Chris Brown, who has been knocked unconscious on no sleep at 4 in the morning at a club in Atlanta, even Chris Brown understood that this man should not be in a boxing ring. The fight starts. Ray J comes out. And, listen, I want to describe what I saw with as much dignity as I can. Ray J looked like a man who learned about boxing from watching one Rocky movie on a delayed flight. Ray J looked like a drunk uncle who got into a verbal disagreement with his nephew at a Memorial Day cookout and decided to settle it like a man. Ray J looked like a Sims character whose movement controls were being operated by a 4-year-old. He was throwing arms. He was running. He was running. In a boxing match. He was sprinting in circles like the ring was on fire. He was throwing what I think he believed were punches but what looked more like a man trying to swat away a wasp. And then, of course, the inevitable happened. Super hot fire connected. Once. Twice. 3 times. And Ray J went down. Got back up. Got hit again. Went back down. Ate canvas. Saw stars. Counted ceiling tiles. Came face to face with his ancestors. They told him to go back. He came back. Got hit one more time. And it was over. And immediately, the after-fight footage hit the internet. Ray J had a knot on his head the size of a softball. A cartoon lump. The kind of lump that Bugs Bunny gets when an anvil falls on his head. And the announcer, on live television, looked at Ray J's face, started laughing, and said, "Bro, you got one of them cartoon lumps on your head." And Chris Brown, his own boy, the friend who told him not to die, was laughing too. Cackling. Doubled over. Wiping tears. Because the absurdity of the situation had finally overcome basic human empathy. And then Ray J started talking. And what came out of his mouth was, "I kid you not, that wasn't fair. We had an agreement. You weren't supposed to hit me in the face. I'm Ray J. I hit it first. I'm telling mommy. I'm telling Brandy. And you're not getting your money. Y'all cheated me. Y'all trying to hold black men down. Cousin. Cousin. With all the love I can muster." That was a paid boxing match. The entire premise of the event is that the men hit each other in the face. That is the agreement. There is no agreement that excludes the face. The face is included. The face is the primary target. The face is the entire reason there is a contract. And then, slowly, the internet started to do the math. Because if Ray J's heart was functioning at 30% capacity, the way he said. If he was so close to death that his mother was openly grieving in public videos. Then how, exactly, was that same man medically cleared to enter a sanctioned boxing match 3 months later? How did the heart that could not survive 2027 survive 36 minutes of cardio against a man named Super Hot Fire? Because either the doctors who diagnosed him are the worst cardiologists in American medical history, or, and this is the more plausible reading, that whole heart story was a lie. A lie that he told. A lie that his mother co-signed. A lie that got him a bag of attention. A lie that played with the genuine emotions of real human beings who do not have time to be tricked into grieving a man who is, in fact, fine. People prayed for this man. People sent up petitions for this man. People who themselves have lost loved ones to actual cardiac events relived their grief in the comments of his "I Might Die" video. And the whole time, the man was in a gym training for a celebrity boxing match. And listen, I want to be fair to Ray J for 1 second. For exactly 1 second. Because I do not actually believe Ray J is a bad person. I do not think he is malicious. I do not think he wakes up in the morning and says, "How can I deceive my fans today?" I think Ray J is a man who has been famous since he was a child. I think Ray J is a man who has watched his sister's career, watched his peers' careers, watched the careers of every man he came up with, ascend and ascend again, while his own has hovered in a place that I will charitably describe as complicated. I think Ray J is a man who has watched the engagement economy reward people for doing things he would have considered humiliating 10 years ago. And I think Ray J, like a lot of us, looked at the rules of the new game and decided to play it. The problem is that the new game has a price. And the price is your credibility. Because once you tell the world your heart is failing, and then you climb into a boxing ring 3 months later, you have spent a currency that you cannot earn back. Trust is a one-time use coupon. Once you cash it in, it is gone. And I am sad for him. I am not angry at him. I am sad. Because I think there was a version of Ray J's career that did not require any of this. I think there was a version where he leaned into the lane he is actually great in, which is, by the way, songwriting. The man has written more hits than people give him credit for. There was a version where he leaned into business, where he was a quiet executive making moves behind the scenes. There was a version where he did not have to climb into a boxing ring with a man named Superhot Fire while his own friend stood ringside praying for his life. That version of Ray J existed. And the engagement economy ate it. And now we are here. With cartoon lumps. With his mother somewhere very confused. With his sister, Brandy, probably watching all of this with the patience of a woman who has been managing her brother since they were both children. I will say this. Rampage, the MMA fighter, the man who tried to coach Ray J before this fight even started, was the one person in the entire room who tried to tell the truth. Rampage looked at Ray J's form. Rampage watched him throw what Ray J believed was a jab. And Rampage, knowing what he was watching, said, "Cancel the fight. Cancel it. Cancel it now. You are not ready." Even Superhot Fire, the man who was about to be paid to hit Ray J in the face, leaned in and said, "Bro, you are not ready for this." Both men told him. Two professionals. Two people with no incentive to lie. And Ray J, in that moment, could not hear them. Because the engagement was already in motion. The pay-per-view was already sold. The clip was already being clipped. And there is no off-ramp once the machine starts. That is the lesson. There is no off-ramp. So if you are a celebrity watching this video, and I know some of y'all do watch, please. Please. Build your off-ramps now. Build them while you can still afford to use them. Because once the cameras are rolling, it is too late to ask the cameras to stop. And this right here, is symptom number 4. And it is the worst one. Because the first 3 symptoms were about vanity and performance and ego. But this one is about emotional theft. Because when you fake your own near-death experience for engagement, you are not just lying. You are reaching into the pockets of strangers and stealing something that does not belong to you. You are stealing their fear. You are stealing their grief. You are stealing their prayers. And you are spending it on yourself. So let me lay it out. Let me lay all 4 of these symptoms next to each other on the table. Because once you see them lined up, you cannot pretend they are not the same disease. Symptom 1. Lana and the baby mama sorority. Sincerity replaced by spectacle. Real life turned into staged content. Symptom 2. Young Miami and the 2.3 million. Honesty replaced by outrageous claims. Truth abandoned because Cat pays better. Symptom 3. Amanda Seales defending Cheyenne. The inability to admit a small truth replaced by the compulsion to defend a large lie. Maya Angelou collateral damage. Logic in the trunk. Pride at the steering wheel. Symptom 4. Ray J. The boy who cried heart attack. Real human emotion harvested, stripped, sold, and discarded. The deepest and most dangerous symptom of them all. The disease. The disease is what I am going to call, on this channel, right now, for the record, in front of all of y'all so I can be quoted later, the disease of engagement economics. It is the unspoken rule that has taken over black celebrity culture, and to be honest, all celebrity culture, but it hits harder in our space because our culture has historically run on truth. On testimony. On the church saying, amen, because something real was said in the pulpit. Engagement economics says that the only thing that matters anymore is whether something can be clipped, shared, screenshotted, stitched, duet, or react videoed. And anything that does not have that potential is, functionally, invisible. So everyone has started living in a way that maximizes clip potential. Co-parenting becomes a content drop. Dating becomes a number you can shout. Lying about a credential becomes a hill you die on because the engagement on the dragging is too good to walk away from. And, in the most disturbing case, your own mortality becomes a marketing campaign. Now I know what some of y'all are about to say in the comments. I can see it before you type it. You are going to say, Tisa, you are doing the most. These are just 4 random celebrity stories. You are forcing a pattern. You are reaching. And to that, I say, maybe. Maybe I am reaching. But ask yourself this. If, 10 years ago, you had told me that a man would record a video crying about his heart failing, get his mother to cry with him on camera, and then climb into a paid boxing ring before the year was up, I would have called you crazy. I would have said, there is no way. No human being would do that. The shame alone would prevent it. But the shame doesn't exist anymore. The shame has been monetized. The shame is now a content vertical. So no, I do not think I am reaching. I think I am being one of the few people willing to say out loud that the temperature in the room is rising and that we are all sitting in it. And I want to slow down here for 1 second, because I know some of y'all are going to argue with me in the comments and say, Tisa, every generation has had fake celebrities. Every generation has had liars. Every generation has had clout chasers. This is not new. And you are right. You are absolutely right. Marilyn Monroe was a brand. Elvis was a brand. Diana Ross has been performing graciousness for the cameras since the Johnson administration. So fame has always carried a performance. I am not arguing that. What I am arguing is the dosage. What I am arguing is the velocity. What I am arguing is that the speed at which a regular human moment can be converted into a billable content asset has accelerated by a factor of about 10,000 in the last decade. Marilyn Monroe could not live stream her sadness. Diana Ross could not cash app you her grief. The infrastructure simply did not exist. Today, the infrastructure not only exists, it actively rewards the people who use it the most aggressively. So a celebrity who, in 1987, would have processed a health scare privately, with their doctors and their family, in 2026 has a financial incentive to broadcast it. Not because they are necessarily evil. Not because they are necessarily even calculating. But because the platform whispers in their ear every single morning, if you do not share it, you will be forgotten. And if you are forgotten, you are bankrupt. That whisper is the disease. That whisper is engagement economics. And it is in everyone's ear, including, by the way, mine. I am on this platform too. I am incentivized too. The only difference is I am trying, on this channel, to use that incentive to tell the truth, because the truth, somehow, is now the most underused content lever in the entire industry. The truth is the blue ocean. The truth is the gap in the market. The truth is the thing nobody wants to do because it is hard and slow and it does not always clip. But it is the only thing that still works long term. So yes, fame has always involved performance. But today, the performance is the entire job. And the human being underneath the performance is, in many cases, completely unaccounted for. That is the difference. That is the dosage problem. That is the part one want you to sit with. Now, the other thing I want to address before we keep moving. Some of y'all are going to say, but Tisa, you are profiting off these same celebrities. You are making videos about Ray J. You are making videos about Young Miami. You are part of the same machine. And again, yes. You are right. And I will never pretend otherwise. The difference, I hope, between what I do and what they do is that I am not asking you to grieve me. I am not asking you to wire me $2 million. I am not asking you to defend a lie I told. I am asking you to think for 3 seconds before you scroll. That is a different transaction. That is a different ask. And if I ever stop asking you to think and start asking you to react, somebody in the comments has full permission to drag me on this very channel until I get back in line. That is a contract. That is on record. Hold me to it. Okay. Now let's pivot for 1 second because I would be doing the show a disservice if I did not bring up Cardi B. Because Cardi did do something interesting this week that I think is the slightest, smallest counterpoint to everything I just said. Cardi won 3 AMAs this week. Best Female Rapper. Best Hip Hop Song. Best Hip Hop Album. And in her acceptance, she did something very Cardi. She thanked the AMAs, she promised to attend next year, she promised to perform next year, and then, in the most Cardi twist possible, she said, "Please send my award to my house." Do not send it to my mama house. Because my mama keeps my awards in her living room. That is sincerity. Right there. That is unfiltered. That is the kind of weird, specific, human thing that nobody would write into a PR statement. Cardi could have done the rehearsed thank you. She did not. She did the real thing. And I want to point that out because I do not want this video to feel like every celebrity is sick. They are not. Some of them are still real. Some of them still slip up and say true things into a microphone. So shout out to Cardi. Not because the album of the year debate is settled, that is a separate conversation that I will leave to y'all in the comments, but because in a culture that is dying of performance, she sounded like a person. So now I get to my question. The question I asked you to listen for at the top of the video. Here it is. Are you ready? Here it is. When you scroll your timeline tonight, and you see the next viral celebrity moment, the next clip that's about to take over your For You page, I want you to do one thing. I want you to ask yourself, before you laugh, before you share, before you stitch, before you screenshot, before you send it to the group chat, ask yourself, is this a moment, or is this a marketing campaign? Is this a person, or is this a product? That is it. That is the entire question. Because the moment you start asking that question, the engagement economy starts to lose. Because the engagement economy depends on you not asking it. It depends on you reacting, not thinking. It depends on the reflex, not the reflection. So if all of us, the millions of people who watch these clips every day, started slowing down for 3 seconds and asking, wait, is this real, the entire machine would start to break. Slowly. But it would break. And maybe that is the only way we get back to a culture where, when somebody says they are sick, we believe them. Where, when somebody says they got 2.3 million on a date, we look at them like they grew a second head. Where, when somebody invokes Maya Angelou, they better come correct or not come at all. Where, when a group of women say they are sisters, they actually act like it off camera, not just on it. That is the dream. That is the prescription. The diagnosis is engagement economics. The treatment is your attention. The dosage is 3 seconds of skepticism before every share. And the side effects, baby, the side effects are a culture worth living in. One last thing before I let y'all go. I want to acknowledge something. The reason I do not feel bad doing this kind of analysis on this channel, on a Tuesday afternoon, in front of strangers, is because I genuinely believe that the audience, you, the person watching this right now, is smarter than the industry gives you credit for. The industry assumes you cannot tell the difference between a real moment and a marketing moment. The industry assumes you will click, share, and forget. The industry assumes your attention span is broken beyond repair. I do not believe that. I have read your comments. I have read your DMs. I have read the threads y'all leave under these videos at 2 in the morning. And I know, with absolute certainty, that the people watching this channel are some of the most observant, most analytical, most emotionally intelligent viewers on the entire internet. So when I lay out a theory like engagement economics, I am not lecturing you. I am putting words to something you have already felt. The diagnosis is yours. I am just naming it. You already saw the pattern. You already smelled the staged baby mama brunch. You already laughed at the $2.3 million lie. You already grieved when Amanda Seales dragged Maya Angelou's name. You already winced when Ray J climbed into the ring. I am not telling you anything you did not already feel in your bones. I am giving you the vocabulary to say it out loud. And that, I think, is the only honest job a commentator has in 2026. Not to break news. The news is everywhere. Not to gossip. The gossip is everywhere. The job is to put language to the feelings that are already moving through the culture. Because once you can name a feeling, you can manage a feeling. And once you can manage a feeling, you can change a culture. So that is what we did today. We named it engagement economics. The disease that turns sincerity into spectacle, honesty into outrageous claims, humility into hill-dying defenses, and mortality into marketing. We named it. And once a thing is named, it loses some of its power. Not all of it. But some. Now I want you to do me a few favors before you click off. First, share this video with one person. 1. Not 5. Not 10. 1. Send it to the friend in your life who is too online. The one who reposts everything. The one who has a take on every clip before the clip is even done loading. Send it to them. Tell them you love them. Tell them to slow down. Second, comment the word diagnosed and tell me which of the 4 stories hit you the hardest. I want to read every single one of them. Third, if you are not subscribed, do it now. We do this every weekday. We do it with rigor. We do it with attitude. We do it with care. And we are growing, but we are growing slowly, on purpose, because we are not trying to be everywhere. We are trying to be somewhere good. So join us. Build it with us. And the next time the engagement economy comes for somebody you love, you will be ready to spot it before it gets all the way in. Listen, that is my whole sermon for the day. Thank you for sitting through it. If you made it this far, you are my people. I see you. I love you. Drop the word diagnosed in the comments so I know you stayed all the way through. Tell me which of the 4 stories disturbed you the most. Tell me if you think I'm reaching with the engagement economics theory or if I'm onto something. And tell me what you think Ray J should do next, because that man's career is currently a pile of cartoon lumps in a paid boxing ring and somebody is going to have to call his mother and let her know. If you are new here, hit subscribe. We do this every single weekday. We do not just read off the headlines. We dig. We connect. We diagnose. And we do it with a little bit of attitude because, baby, the news is dark and the only way through is together with a little flavor. And one final aside before I sign off here, if you laughed at any point during this video, do not feel guilty about it. Laughing is allowed. We have to laugh. I will see you tomorrow. Hey yo, thanks for tuning in to The Sauce, your source for the truth behind celebrity news. Peace.